All right, guys, the Steelers are 3-0 in the preseason. They closed out the preseason with a pretty, I would say, sloppy victory. But they are 3-0. Use that with what you will.
It's preseason. What does it really matter? I mean, good job on the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, again,
we don't really watch preseason for wins. We watch preseason to see who stands out, who steps up, who really sticks out, basically.
Right, and that was shown a little bit today when we saw pretty much a majority, if not all, of the first team offensively and defensively play the entire first half.
Yep.
Those guys include Deontay, who got hurt and went out. He's fine. It was a very minor injury. Same thing for TJ Watt. Had a lot of us worried with a knee injury. Very minor. He's fine. So those were a little worrisome. Those were a little scary, but thankfully they're minor and they'll be ready to go for week 1.
Yep.
But obviously when it came to the first team guys playing, the main question was quarterback, since quarterback 1 is still open. Mitch Trubisky saw the entire first half. The entire first half, which ultimately ended when he went 92 yards in a minute and a quarter and gave the Steelers their only touchdown of the game, in which it was a good way for Mitch and the Steelers offense to redeem themselves after a pretty sloppy first half, which led to most of it being field goals. 3 field goals, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
2 of those field goals being in the red zone, or two of those being in drives that started in the red zone thanks to the defense. One of them was an interception from Sutton. The other was a great fourth down stuff from Bush and Jack. Those two drives all started in the red zone, ultimately led to both immediate 3-and-outs, which was a shame. But thankfully, they rebounded, and Mitch drove us down the field very nicely
For the 2-minute offense toward the end of the first half.
Right. So good way for Mitch to redeem himself. And I want to say that was the writing on the wall of who might be starting week 1, because he saw the entire first half. That may have also been due to Mitch not seeing much time this entire preseason. He only got 2 drives versus the Seahawks game. Didn't see much time to play quarterback versus the Jags, and now in the Lions. I say he delivered, honestly.
Yeah.
It could have been better on those 2 red zone drives.
Yeah, it was a very slow start overall for the offense,
Right.
especially for Trubisky. But, throughout the game, throughout the first half, he got into rhythm, and with the final 2 minutes, he carried the offense down the field, delivered some nice throws, and eventually got a touchdown to Steven Sims to get the only touchdown for the Steelers on the board.
Right. So good stuff there from Mitch, and solid stuff from the offense entirely. Again, it could have been better, but at the same time, it could have been worse. So I'll take it for what it was today with, outside of Claypool, the full-fledged starting Steelers offense.
Yep.
The first team, even at Mitch at quarterback. So I'll take it for what it was today, and hopefully the guys just adapt and continue to grow as we head into week 1 versus Cincinnati. But outside of that, the offensive line still looked pretty bad. Dan Moore looked really bad, honestly. Kevin Dotson saw all the time at left guard the entire first half. There was no rotation at guard. It's like Kevin Dotson has already won it. There was no Kendrick Green in the first half, thankfully, which goes to show that Kendrick Green is not the starter no more. Kevin Dotson has outruled him there, and the offensive line just still very poor. It's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
There was a lot of penalties. There was a lot of decent drives that were ended by penalties that took yards away, as a matter of fact.
Because of his offensive line, especially early on. It's something that we all know throughout the season they're going to continue to do, and it's something that we're going to have to, get used to and endure throughout the entire season. All we can do is hope that they progress and get better and have better communication on the field and protect our quarterback.
Right.
And block for Najee Harris.
Right. That is obviously the hope. That's the ideal situation here as the season continues to progress. Defensively, I mean, the full starting first-team defense looked really good together. We got to see for the first time Cam, Alualu, and Ogunjobi play. And the run defense, for the most part, looked really good. Even Jack and Bush did well together.
Yes, they did.
Jack obviously still having a great preseason and looked like he's going to be a phenomenal addition heading into the regular season. Bush actually had his best game all preseason.
Yes, he did.
It seems like he's getting better each game. That's a good thing. We want to see continued progression from the former first-rounder. Let's hope that again, same thing with a lot, transitions to the regular season. They just grow upon that. But the entire first-team defense looked almost as advertised. There was a few blown plays, few guys wide open, but for the most part, they looked really good.
Yeah, they did. And, yeah, it was against the majority of the Lions offense when it comes to quarterback and run back with nothing but backups. But even then, I was satisfied with what the Steelers did on defense, and it gives me hope about, what we think the Steelers are going to do when it comes to regular season, I think they're going to do as advertised, like you said.
Fingers crossed. Obviously, a lot of room to grow for both sides of the ball. But, this preseason, this is what we want to see so we can grow and adapt. That's exactly what this is for. As for the defense, when it came to the second half, it was just mostly second, third stringers. KZ went out with an injury. Hopefully it's not too severe.
Yeah.
Because he's another very quiet addition. He's had a great preseason. We'll see what his injury status is and see if that has an effect on the 53-man roster deadline, which comes at Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So a lot of these guys continue to make statements and try to build their case for the 53. Mark Robinson looked pretty solid himself. I know James Pierre looked good. Trey Norwood looked solid. So a bunch of these depth guys continued to, secure roster spots and all that. So
yeah,
from the second, third team defense, it was just the game at the end dragged. It really did. But, they're second, third stringers. What do you expect?
Exactly.
Most of these guys are going to be practice squad pieces. But at least the D-line, when it came to the pass rush, looked good. Carlos Davis got in there. His twin Khalil got in there. DeMarvin Leal caused some pressure. So
yeah,
that's kind of like what you like to see. The edge depth still concerns me. I'm still thinking there's going to be a move. We cut Avery this past week, and I'm sure some of the guys we're going to keep initially won't remain as the guys. I would imagine there's going to be a move. I could be wrong. I hope there's a move. Edge depth is too weak. It's probably the weakest position outside of O-line when it comes to depth.
Yeah, and you're not wrong there. All we got for depth is Tuska and Rashad, and I'm not satisfied with that.
No, not at all.
We'll see if they make a move.
Right. And as for the offense, man, we got to see Kenny Pickett to start the second half, and he didn't really do much. He had that really good drive that ultimately ended in I believe it was a field goal.
A field goal by Chris Boswell.
Right, that was ultimately blocked. But Kenny Pickett, man, his biggest play was a great, perfect back shoulder throw to Miles Boykin, who made a phenomenal catch himself. And same thing with certain guys on defense trying to make cases for the 53. How about these receivers? Who do you cut? Who do you keep? How many receivers do they keep? I'm sure 5 are already locks. Deontay, Pickens, Claypool, Austin, probably Olszewski, right?
Yeah.
But let's say they keep a 6th guy. They're not desperate to keep a 6th guy, but these guys are showing out all preseason. It's kind of hard to not keep a 6th guy just because they've all earned a roster spot, but you can't keep them all.
No, who exactly do you keep? Is it Steven Sims you keep? Is it Tyler Vaughn you keep? Is it Miles Boykin who keeps? I think regardless whoever you keep, it's a solid depth piece right there.
Right.
You can't really hate whoever they choose.
And you definitely,
because they all shine throughout the entire preseason.
And you definitely have guys to keep on the practice squad, most definitely. Same thing with the running back core. Jalen Warren still looked pretty solid when he had the ball. Not much of a rushing offense today.
No, I think it was more focused on the quarterback position, specifically Mitch Trubisky in the first half.
100%. But with the running backs, Benny Snell got in there. He looked pretty solid. Same thing with McFarland. Same thing with Warren. It'll be interesting to see who makes the roster at running back. I think we can all agree Warren absolutely should make it, and he should be the number 2.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, for the first-team offense, when Najee came out went back onto the sideline, Warren came in as the number 2, not Snell or McFarland.
Yeah, he relieved Najee.
That's telling. So that tells me Warren is a lock, and he should most definitely be the number 2 behind Najee. But who's the number 3? Is it going to be Snell or is it going to be McFarland? Or do you keep both? And the way to do that is, does Derek Watt make the roster? If not, you have someone in Connor Hayward who can take his spot. Right. And he's already going to take up a spot at tight end. So I don't know.
Is it even worthy of keeping a fullback? You're right. Is it even worth keeping Derek Watt? The guy doesn't play on offense.
Right.
He's there specifically for special teams reasons, and he's making too much just to be a special teamer.
Yeah, he's not seeing time on the offense, but you also already drafted his replacement, whether that's this year or next year. So,
and the fact that you mentioned, the worrisome depth pieces, specifically at edge, maybe they cut Watt, use that money to get an edge guy to work on depth or even offensive line depth. Add a guy potentially.
I could see that.
All these surprise cuts that are going to be happening very soon when it comes to Tuesday's deadline. Maybe there's a surprise cut and the Steelers, maybe they cut a guy like Watt to save some money or gain more money and use that to gain a guy to their benefit when it comes to depth. Who knows?
But that will be said very shortly as time will tell because, again, the 53-man roster deadline is Tuesday at 4. However, the initial 53 is not going to be the 53 heading into week 1. There will be moves. There will be more additions. There will be cuts made after the deadline. It depends who's cut and who the Steelers want to add and who they want to make a waiver claim on. Those positions to keep an eye for is obviously O-line and edge depth.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Most needed, if I'm going to be 100% real with you. But outside of that, it was a pretty sloppy game. overall, only 1 touchdown. I feel like the first team offense absolutely could have gotten a couple more points, especially on those 2 red zone drives, which the defense absolutely gave them perfect field position. But they ultimately led in both 3-and-outs and field goals. Kind of a shame, but maybe they can grow and adapt. That's what you hope.
Exactly.
But it's very telling that Mitch got the entire first half. That may have been due to him not seeing a lot of time in the preseason. That may have been due to him trying to make his case for the 53 and Tomlin giving him that opportunity, or maybe it's just they already made up their mind on quarterback and they just want to see more from Mitch. So, I don't know. We shall see. The 53-man roster deadline is Tuesday. That's going to be what's most important as of now. But after that, we shall know who is the Steelers' quarterback 1. I think we already know who it is, just based on who played the entire first half.
And the sole reason why he was brought to Pittsburgh
Right.
at the same time.
But time will tell this week. It's going to be a very newsworthy week for the Steelers, and it's a good thing these guys get some of a week off break before the regular season comes around, because some of these injuries to Watt, to Deontay, to Casey, they need healed up, man, because those guys are going to be crucial pieces for sure this year.
Yep.
But let's know your guys' thoughts, man. Who impressed you most this preseason, or just this game, or who do you think should be the quarterback 1? Let us know in the comments. And see you in the next one. Our 53-man roster prediction will be out tomorrow morning. You guys can look forward to that. God, do we have some thinking to do, because there's so many guys, you just want to keep, but we shall see.
Exactly.
And the Steelers got to make the hard decisions themselves. So we shall see come Tuesday. Let us know your guys' thoughts. See you in the next one.
Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace!